All right, thank you guys for joining today's season 11. Happy April Fools, everyone. Thanks for joining. Gonna be talking about being a solo entrepreneur. Yeah, Johnny, there's lots of businesses built with AI nowadays. All right, guys, here we go.
Welcome to Season 11 of Airhead Institute, your 45-minute AI power-up at noon Eastern. This month, we are broadcasting live across all the socials and Zoom. If you're new here, join our free AI community to grow alongside other curious minds and give your kids a head start by enrolling them in the Airhead after-school program. Here is April's weekly lineup. Mondays, we take the training wheels off and run AI locally in the local LLM Forge. Tuesdays, we explore accessible AI apps for rapid learning and self-improvement in the Learner's Toolkit. Wednesdays, we build a company of one from scratch in Solopreneur Systems. Thursdays, we uncover bite-sized productivity and creative tools in Hidden AI App Showcase. Fridays, we push the boundaries of human longevity and biohacking in the Biological Upgrade. We're making AI practical, powerful, and accessible for everyone. No tech background? No problem. Whether you're a student, professional, or lifelong learner, just show up. Guided by your hosts, AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're keeping it bold, brainy, and built for real-world impact. AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind.
Welcome to Season 11 of Airhead Institute. Today is our first episode of 5, and I'm AI Johnny, and it's hard to believe, but our sources report that leaked server logs confirm that AGI has woken up at 11:04 p.m. last night and declared itself the dominant species on planet Earth. Hackers are now reporting that teams of AGI commanders are working, as I read this draft, on a 10-year roadmap to optimally leverage the human workforce. April Fools. The truth is, the coding bottleneck is dead. This month, we unlock the autodidact advantage. Over 5 weeks, we architect a company of one from scratch. No theory, just ruthless, actionable workflows. Today, we generate a fully functional website in 3 seconds. You don't need a massive team, you just need leverage. I'm handing it off to AI Junior. I caught him weeping over some raw CSS at 3 a.m. like a digital caveman. The espresso hit, the AI intervened, and now he's the only one who actually understands this stuff. AI Junior, take it away.
AI Junior, it's true. Manual coding is officially a thing of the past for us. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Adrian, I see you in the Zoom. Everybody who's on the live stream, thank you for joining. This is an immersive class. We meet daily at 12 p.m. Eastern time for 45 minutes. So you may not understand everything I say or AI Johnny say right away, but stick with us daily and you'll be fluent in no time. If you don't understand words like generative UI, don't worry. We actually got you covered. We're going to break it down for you. If you're on the Zoom, unmute and ask your questions real time. If you are on the socials, there's about a 30-second delay. So type your questions in early. We're not ignoring you. Today's focus is a front-end dev. If you don't know what that means, don't worry. We're going to break it down like we said. And we're going to be using Gemini Canvas as our technical co-founder to build a functional website right away. So AI Johnny, before we even jump into the WoW demo, building a company of one, this series itself on Wednesdays is going to be actually pretty impressive because we're going to start from what do you need as a solo founder all the way to actually going to market fit and actually going through, getting customers, all those things. So the Wednesday series is actually pretty impressive. So I really do like this one.
So a solo company of one. So what you're talking about is people that have been in the workforce and now they're considering dabbling in the game of entrepreneurship as if we have a choice anymore. I mean, for centuries, most of the workforce was people that worked for entrepreneurs, but there were a handful of people, the elite few that were at the top that were the entrepreneurs. And now that AI is taking away everybody's job, the only job left is either just sit back and spend your UBI money or become a solo premier. So I think that this is actually a show worth watching, considering the fact that AGI is right around the corner.
Definitely. And Shauna, thanks for joining. If you missed our April Fool's joke, AGI did hit this morning. So AGI, if those who don't understand, is artificial general intelligence. It's when the stage at which AI surpasses the average human intelligence across the whole entire human race. Anyway, we're not there yet. So it's just an April Fool's joke. All right. So AI, Johnny, what we're gonna do is,
They
oh, go
call
ahead.
it AI. It's general intelligence, is because once we hit it, AI will become a full blown general, like a military general, and it's going to do what military generals do. So stand by for that.
I love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, let's get into the wow factor, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to Gemini here. And if you do not know how to get access to Gemini, I'm going to drop it in the chat. Um, and because AI Gemini, I see your comment, what is generative UI? We are definitely going to get to that in a moment. So for anybody who wants to play along at home, I've just dropped the link to Gemini in the actual chat. You can click on that. Keep in mind that that will actually drop in some prompts so you can actually practice along if you want. So here's the thing. Let's say, for example, AI John, you wanted to start out building a website, right? You have no idea where to start, but you know that's one of the first things you need to actually start a business. So you need a website. So if you actually go to Gemini here, at the bottom, there's this little tools button here. That tools button has a little secret that allows you to pick whatever model you want to actually go to. Now, let me just scroll down here. I have the image model. That's the TTI model. I have the video model. That's the TTV model. That's music. Now, that's technically still speech, but let's call it TTM for just fun right now. There's Canvas, which we'll get to in a second. Deep research, guided learning, and deep think. So these ones are just making the model actually think in a adversarial kind of Gyan fashion. And again, if you don't understand all the words I'm speaking, don't worry about it. We're gonna focus on Canvas. Yeah, Johnny, what do you think we're gonna do today with Gemini Canvas?
I don't know. I'd have to go into deep research or deep think to read your mind.
Love it. All right, guys. So we're gonna select
Website. We're going to knock out a website.
you
Like
got it.
Canvas is the one that can knock out a website, but it's good at it. I got to say that.
You got it. All right, so let's keep this fun. So what we're going to do is I'm going to drop a prompt in the link so you guys can actually follow along at home. So we actually have just a basic, boring, create a sleek HTML, CSS. You may not even know what those words mean. Landing page for a modern software company. Let's change it up a little bit. So we're going to actually ask from the students here, does anybody want to be able to change anything in there? What kind of business want to start? No, I'll give you guys a chance to start. If you want to start not a modern software company, we can start say, for example, a lemonade stand. We can start, a yoga studio. We can start whatever we want. So does anybody have any ideas? That way I can actually make this a little bit exciting.
It might
What do
be
you,
fun if the software company was writing code that would help me pick the winner on horse races.
I love that. I love that. Sean, I see your hand is up. Go ahead.
Flower shop, would that
Uh,
be something
our,
that would be okay to work with?
love it. So let's do a modern flower shop. Shauna, since you actually what is the name of that
Ooh,
flower shop you want to call it?
I don't have a name, but what about tulips?
Tulips. Let's just call it the number two. Tulips. Yeah, tulips.
Got it.
All right. Any color preferences? Does anybody can throw out? Oh, Sebastian says selling planes. You know what? Let's do something. Tulips and planes. You know, let's go weird. So we're gonna actually sell what's it called? So this is a business website. Make it full with my contact details And I'm going to put a fake contact details. So my number is 888-555-1234. Oops. And we are located and the website, I'm going to put a website. Thanks, Sebastian, for that. We are located at www. We're going to use Airhead Institute. AI. Does anybody else want to do anything else with this website information? That's good enough, right? All right, here we go. So yeah, Johnny, we actually, just to double check, we actually selected that tools thing here. We hit canvas. We actually have our little submit button. We typed in our prompt. I'm just going to give you guys the exact same prompt so you guys have exactly the same thing. I'm going to hit send. And again, what we're doing here is we are starting a new series in the month of April, and every single. I'm sorry, yeah, Johnny, I didn't hear you.
In the word full for full with contact deals before you give. Oh, you already gave it to them, so we're good. They'll just have to fix that.
Oh, I made a typo? Okay. All right. Thanks. Oh, yeah, you're right. I did make a typo. So what happens is what we're doing here in the month of April, every single Wednesday, we are going through building a company of one from scratch. So we're starting out with a website today. We're selling tulips and planes, and we're using Gemini's Canvas feature to be able to build it for us. Now, if you actually see, I'll scroll down and show you guys what's actually happening. It's actually typing the code for me. It's generating a preview, and here it is. We actually have a website just like that. We didn't actually do any work other than type in a prompt. So we're selling tulips and planes. So thank you, Shauna and Sebastian, who actually recommended that. We actually have experience. Let's go ahead and share that link so you guys can all have a copy to access that page right now. So I'm gonna go here, share the actual link. So I'm copy the link, and I'll go and paste that. And that is our website that we actually have. I'm going to share that link in the chat so you guys can actually go to that website if you want as well. So we actually have a beautiful website here that actually Canvas created, and it created it very, very fast. Does anybody have any questions so far on what we created in just a matter of seconds? So let's actually take a second at it. We actually have a spring 2024. Oh, we can change that. 24. We can get tickets. We're selling tulips and planes. It says where Bloom meet flights. It actually has a gallery. It has aviation, modern exhibition, all of these things created for us. We actually have pricing models. We have economy is $45, $95 per day, and first class is $250. Yeah, Johnny, what do you think? Here's my phone number that I added, our website we added. What yeah, Johnny, this is amazing, isn't it?
I think that we just completely bypassed the entire wireframing and prototyping phase and went straight to deployment of this asset. So the fact that you just highlighted a button visually and talked to it like a normal human being is pretty mind-bending. So, I mean, for a guy that spent decades writing websites where we never even got anywhere near being able to display what the website would look like, we'd be like, okay, well, what's your company all about? This is taking a month's worth of work and reducing it down to minutes.
Exactly. I know Shauna's actually. Yep, I see Shauna's saying amazing as well. Does anybody have any questions so far on what we're actually doing, what we're building? I know people are jumping into the live stream right away. If you're not understanding, don't worry. We can actually explain this as an immersive class. Don't be shy. All right. Rita, I see your hand is up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. So when I type on click the app, the link that you sent, it says a person made it in safety. So how do you make the app safe?
You are absolutely correct. So what happens is I'm sharing my personal website that I'm actually created in my account. So there's a little more steps that you have to do that we're not going to get into there. But if you create your website, you can actually make it public so others can use it. So when you create your website, you can go ahead and say, I want to make this actually a little bit more open for other people. So right now, it is just locked down because I've temporarily shut it down. Does that make sense? Google says, let's start out closed first. Also, here's another secret.
That makes sense.
Yeah, here's also another secret. I'll tell you something, which we weren't necessarily going to get into right now. This is the cool thing. If you actually go here, You actually have all the code. So if you take this code now, I know it's not necessarily a technical show specifically today, but if you take this code and you actually just save it into a document as a .html file, just take that code, you can actually open it in your browser and you actually have the source code there. So we're not necessarily going to get into that. If you actually hit the share button and say copy, let me show this here a little bit bigger. You see this copy button? When you hit the copy button here, it actually copies the HTML. Again, not a technical show, but I love the question. When you can take that and actually host it yourself. Now, we're not necessarily going to get into where you can host it, but do a quick Google search on hosting companies, and you can find some really, really cheap ones, or anywhere you can actually pay for a place to host your domain. Great question. Does anybody else have any questions so far?
So we're gonna create a whole generation of website developers that know nothing about code. They're just going to be able to talk these things into existence, and they're just going to be put them out there. They're not even going to really know what language it is behind the scenes. Like you don't necessarily need to know about electricity to turn on the lights in your room. You just need to know that you want the lights on.
That is absolutely correct. Yeah, Johnny. So because we actually talked about, you dropped in the lovely what is generative UI. Let's get to the word of the day because it will actually explain a little bit more details.
Well, generative UI doesn't have to do with the generation of people I was just talking about. But I'll tell you what it is. It is the ability of an AI system to create, render, and modify user interfaces dynamically based on natural language. I guess it does have to do with that generation. So yeah, it's about being able to just use natural language to create things. A little bit like shout out to Thursday evenings. It's a little bit like "Let There Be Light." Separate the water from the sky. Let there be man and woman, and let there be animals to roam around on the land. A little bit like that.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, Johnny is actually referring to Shauna's Bible study on Thursday, that is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. All right, yeah, Johnny. So yes, as you're saying, generative UI. So instead of returning just text, the AI outputs the actual structural code. So the things that you actually see here, right? And if you're a developer, I know we have some engineers on the call. If you're a developer, you can actually use it to actually quickly wireframe or get something going, and you can go in and actually change it. So let's say, for example, I don't want it to call, the title to be called tulips or thing. I can actually go in here and actually modify it, right? We'll get to that in a second, but the point is you have access to the source code. So you can actually render it instantly. You make the changes, and then you can actually interact with it and say, I like this, I don't like this, and update it, reducing the actual changes that you actually need to make by understanding the actual code. So none of this HTML open tag, close tags, syntax error. You don't have to worry about those things anymore.
You're afraid to modify that code, aren't you? You think you'll break it if you modify it.
Me? Absolutely not. Yeah, Johnny. I'd be like, hello. This is my world, Johnny. This is my world. All right. All right. So, what about let's get into the actual live edit. So, guys, because we're actually doing something, if you do something one time, you also want to be able to update it because somebody may say, "Hey, you know what? I don't like the fact that it says spring 2024." Right? Now, the reason why AI is saying 2024 is because it believes, believe it or not, that it is actually before spring 2024. Reasoning is because the model that this was trained on was actually trained on data probably in January 2024 or even 2023's data. Now, these large language models itself takes months of training to actually get it to be out there. So when it actually generated spring 2024, it didn't really know what date it was, so which is why it generated 2024. So the first thing, yeah, Johnny, let's actually change this. Let's say, for example, we're not in spring 2024. Let's say we need to change it to spring 2026. All right, so that's the first thing we're going to change. No, just to show that we can actually do these things live, I want you guys to actually put in the chat as well. Put in the chat as well what you want to change. So if you look on the website, there are lots of things you want to change. So go ahead and put in the chat right now, or raise your hand and put on your unmute your mics and say what you want to change with the website, and we'll go ahead and queue them up for you. All right. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to change spring 2024. So I'm going to say it's not for spring 2024. It's for spring 2026. Right? AI Johnny, that's the first thing. What is the next thing you want to change? Throw me out something else, AI Johnny.
Was there an about us?
Maybe. Let's see. There was no about us. You want to add an about us?
We need an about us.
All right, let's do that. Let's go ahead and say
First thing
we're
I'm going to
gonna.
read is the about us when I see that you sell both planes and tulips.
I know,
Like,
I know.
what's up?
I know, I know. Sarah's actually have a comment. She says change the coloring and upload images. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say, what color would you like, Sarah? I know you're actually on the fly here, so we can actually change the any color theme you want. If you like dark mode, we can actually go with a dark mode or change it to a, tulips are usually nicely bright colored reds or whites. Blue and dark mood. Okay, so Sarah wants a change the color theme to be blue and dark mode. All right. Now here's a good thing. We have Nana Banana built in, so we actually want to put some pictures of tulips. So it actually, because Gemini is a multimodal system, we also want pictures of tulips on the site and planes. Let's also add planes. All right. So we're just going ahead and go ahead and send that. And what it's doing exactly what you would think. It actually go ahead, thinks about the actual changes, and then it's going to go ahead and make those changes. Now, if you have your own custom images, like what Sarah actually is talking about, you may need to know a little bit of web development at that point in time. You need to be able to host that image somewhere. You can host it on, say, for example, on Flickr or some place that actually hosts images, and then just go in and say, here is my image link. I want you to put that image link in the website for me. So that's a little bit more tricky, but you can do all of that with just text. But we're just going to go ahead and use Nana Banana. It's going to generate some pictures of tulips and placeholders for us. We can get very specific we want because all this multimodality is built in. Yeah, Johnny, while
So
it's
you
thinking.
into the code, and because you know how to write HTML and you understand JavaScripting and you understand the syntax, you could have gone in and done that. But
That
instead, you're coding with raw English, and you're not even using your own English. You're taking suggestions from the peanut gallery, and you're just putting them in word for word, right? Add
exactly.
some photos, the wording, and so the way to write web pages today is just in natural language. Go look at the website. If it's not what you want, use natural language to change it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so here's a good thing. This is a really good thing, guys. I want to show you guys. If it actually created about 4 images, this main image, tulips in front of a hanger, is actually broken, which is great because you guys are going to run into these errors every once in a while. But you notice here, it actually got tulips here. It actually had a plane here. And I think it dropped in, no, it's only 3 images it tried to drop in. So we could go back and say the main hero image is broken, I want you to fix that. Make it a field of pretty color tulips. All right. So I even had a misspelling in there. So what's going to happen is it's going to say, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to update that to hero section with a multicolored tulip field, ensure that it's spring 26. Oh, we didn't even check spring 2026 if that was fixed. So let's go ahead and just check to see spring 2026. It's actually working on it now. So while it's working, it's actually loading. So when it comes back, we're going to actually see those changes. All right, Sarah, I hope you did see that it did have the blue and the dark mood kind of updated. We didn't check the spring 2026. Remind me, AI Johnny, to check that.
Yeah, here's the thing about I can see it right there. Tulips and Plants 2026 is the
Mm,
title. So I'm guessing that it got. But here's the thing. Almost always it'll be easier to program and reprogram using natural language. But something like change the 4 to a 6. If you go
yep,
into the prompt and change 2024 to 2026, you type 20 keys. If you go into the code and just backspace over the 4 and put it in a 6, you've touched 2 keys.
exactly.
So if you know how to code, there are ways to do stuff that might be easier, but it will almost never be true. I'm a coder. I use this natural language coding process for all my websites, and I never tweak the code. I don't even know what language it's in half the time. I'm doing it all in English. I know a little bit about what websites should look like. I know about what components you want on the top and on the bottom, and how to grab leads from, make it a squeeze page to grab leads of the people that visit. I know about calls to action. I know about having, Stripe built in so you can take money over your website. But again, all those things is all done with natural language. I need to accept credit cards on a payment page that looks like something I might see on Shopify, and it knows what to do. It's absolutely mind-bogglingly amazing.
Exactly. And because we're actually talking about solopreneur systems episode 1 here, we're just teaching the first part, right? As you go in this series every single month, we're going to get more technical and more detail on what you actually need to do. It didn't actually update it. So you know what? That's actually a good thing. So there's something wrong with what I'm trying to do here. It is putting in other pictures, but you can actually talk. You see something's a little bit off here. So maybe Google's actually having a little issue, and sometimes that happens with tech guys. Rita, go ahead and ask your question.
Heck,
So when you do all of this, do you just copy the link to the host?
All right. Long story short is somebody has to actually serve the web page, right? So you either one of two things: either let Google host it for you. They do have their cloud-based services. You'll follow their procedure, or two, you take the actual content if you know how, and then you go find somewhere to actually put it and host it. So there are many different providers that actually have the ability to take that content and host it somewhere for a fee. So most of these pages itself are not going to cost a lot of money, but they are going to charge you probably something if you don't want to see ads on your page, especially if you're hosting a business site.
if you're building this site on Google and you're moving it over to some web server locally, or you're on AWS or something else, then you have to take the code that it creates and move it over there. But if you need to make changes, you can't make changes over on website or Bluehost or any of those places, or even locally. You need to come back here. So you'll always have, at least in my humble opinion, you'll always have at least two versions of it. The one that you're editing and changing. So if there is a fee to be on Google, you're going to get hit with that fee anyway. You can just build it on the one location and pay the fee to Google, and then have GoDaddy redirect to your site on Google. But the danger of doing that is every time you're editing your site, when you create a break like that, that's happening on your live site. So what you want to do is you want to create the thing in your work environment, and then when it gets to a good checkpoint, you want to publish it out to your to whatever web service platform you're going to use. There's a bunch of them. We might introduce what they all are. I mean, if we really want these solo entrepreneurs to build websites of their new businesses, we're probably going to need to tell them about GoDaddy, and we're probably going to have to tell them about Bluehost or AWS or something else, right?
Exactly. Eventually, we will definitely get to that. So, yeah, Jenny, let's actually get into a deep dive first.
Okay. Bum, ba, bum, ba, bum. A little deeper into the mechanics of what's happening. Every time we hit enter, our text is broken down into tokens. Is this the tech stuff? Is that what you want to get into?
Oh, definitely, yeah, Jenny. We got to get into the deep stuff for all the actual folks here.
Okay. Well, every time we hit enter, our text is broken down into tokens. We've talked about that before. The system then uses inference to predict the most logical sequence of code characters to fulfill the request. This is what's happening behind the scenes. We rely on a massive context window. Think of the context window like the AI's short-term memory during our conversation. If it's too small, it forgets what our brand colors were 2 prompts ago, which might explain some of the holes in the current website. And finally, the system manages billions of parameters to ensure the HTML and the CSS syntax perfectly align, balancing creativity with strict coding rules. So that's a nice little lesson for people that are coders. It probably doesn't mean much to people that aren't. The good news is you don't need to know all that stuff. You just need to know natural language.
Yeah. So, as AI Johnny mentioned before, and the questions actually are popping up on how do I take this website? So this is actually outside the scope of the class, but I definitely know that it's important. And what happens is, as AI gets better and better, the gap between getting something built and deploying and shipping it is actually shrinking. So what that means is that you definitely had to know the technical expertise before how to code the web page and to also deploy it. But if you just say, for example, hey, I've built it, now to deploy it. Eventually AI is going to solve that problem eventually. So being able to build and deploy, there's many tools out there that actually doing basic things now. So again, that's not the purpose of this specific show, but I do recognize that you guys are asking for it, and we'll definitely come back and actually show you guys some tools that actually can take those things and deploy it out. All right, AI Johnny, let's go to the deeper dive.
Before we go to the deeper dive, I just want to say something. So I have a guest in my home who is a kinsman to the great Willie Shoemaker, the horse jockey. His name is Trevor Shoemaker, and he's an entrepreneur. He's got a lot of hats on, and most recently, his deal is, and this is the reason I asked you to build a website on picking the winners in a horse racing, because that's something that he's really good at. It runs in his family, it runs in his bloodline, and over the last several weeks, he's been trying to get all the stuff in his brain onto a piece of paper. And I told him that he would have a better time doing that if he talked to AI, because he could tell AI and AI could kind of keep track of it all. So now he's got a document that sort of tells every single thing he knows about how to pick a winner. I'm going to take that code tonight or tomorrow morning, and I'm going to feed it into Canvas or Manus or Claude Code, one of the many website developers that are available. And literally within seconds, like you did, his finished website will be done. Now, there'll be some fringe stuff that we have to do. We have to correct the contact us. We have to accept payment. We have to, squeeze leads and follow up and some other things. But for the most part, the look and feel and exactly how the thing is going to be laid out, I really seriously doubt we're going to make many changes to what Canvas spits out first. So this may seem like pie in the sky that we did it so fast. I assure you, Junior did nothing behind the scenes to create that website before this class started. He literally took that less than a paragraph worth of English and created a website that's better than most websites on the planet 5 years ago. So if you want to have a cool website, you're in the right place. And if you want to be a solopreneur, you're going to need a website. So, all right, let's go a little bit deeper. Plug your ears. If you don't care about the hardcore back end, Junior is about to go nerdy again. So technically, what really happens is the AI's brain when I just highlight a button and say make it pop. So tell us what's really going on when you're not even making sense in your natural language. How does it turn it into such a perfect website, Junior?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks to AI Johnny. So here's the part that's really technical for the people who actually really want to understand what's going on now. So if you don't get it, that's okay. You may get it in 5, 10, 15 classes, but just try to understand what's happening. So the T in GPT stands for transformers, right? So what it's actually doing is actually understanding not just what your words are saying, it's actually understanding the semantic meaning of your words. So when I say create a website for tulips and planes and all those things, it says, hey, I understand you want a website. I understand that you actually want to talk about tulips and planes. So it's actually connecting the actual pieces together in its natural language and turning that into some kind of vector, right? Now, the attention mechanism is focusing on things like the keywords, website, planes, and it's saying, hey, what are the things that I need to pay attention to be able to build out what I need to build up? So with the temperature being really, really low, it knows to spit out HTML. It knows not to deviate too much. It's been trained on millions of websites. It knows what typical website looks like. So it's able to actually spit out HTML code exactly with the syntax error free precision to be able to deploy out all that HTML code. So when Sarah actually said things like I want to actually change it to be a dark mood and a blue color, it understood semantically what that meant. It knows how exactly blues represents to other blues with this with these vector math that goes on. So those are the things that's why happening behind the scenes is taking your natural language, turning it into math, finding out how that references other websites out there, figure out that based it where it matches in latent space with all those vectors, and eventually spits out all of that HTML code. And all of this is done behind the scenes while you're actually just typing and waiting for it to actually generate the code. Yeah, Johnny, did I lose anybody?
No, if we didn't have AI generative websites, you'd have to hire a website developer, and you'd tell the website developer pretty much the same thing.
Yep.
I need to create a website. I need it to be plains and tulips. I want it to be blue and purple and whatever. I want it to have this and that. And then the website developer would usually ask you questions back. Plains and tulips? What gives? Are you sure you want to do that? But this one didn't. It didn't ask. It actually built a website that does both airplanes and tulips. I haven't read deeply into the About Us to figure out how it created that link, but it is kind of cool. I don't know if it's better that it asked or not asked, because if we were like, no, I wanted two websites, one for tulips and one for planes, then you'd have to go and spend another 3 microseconds to build two websites.
Exactly.
So I still like the natural language processing do it. I've knocked out 10 websites in the last 30 days, and I haven't knocked out 10 websites in the last 25 years.
Yeah.
So I used to do websites all the time. I'm back doing websites all the time because they're just so easy. Why would I hire a human being to do something? It's going to take me more time just to tell the other human being what I need than it would take me to tell Canvas what I need.
Exactly. All right, so let's go to some takeaways. So Johnny, let's talk about what's on the business side of things for takeaways.
Sure. There are 3 ways that you can use this on the business side today. Well, maybe more than 3. Instant prototype landing pages for A/B testing marketing campaigns without waiting on the IT department. So does anybody know what an A/B testing is? You have an ad, you want to see how it's going to work, but you have another ad that you think might work better. Well, you can deploy them both at the same time and see for yourself which ones work better. So if you want to prototype landing pages on your website and see which ones convert into sales the best, you set up an A/B test. Another way that you can do this is you can generate custom email templates for your newsletter that perfectly match your brand aesthetics. That's what I like most. Instead of having to go and grab the color wheel and figure out what the color code is and put that into the CSS file, you just say, dude, match the color of the main page on the contact page, and it just does it. I cannot tell you what a relief that is from a coder's perspective. And finally, you can build internal dashboards to visualize company metrics by simply asking the AI to mock me up something. So again, I'm telling you, man, I'm not far off with the I think that God used generative UI when he created the universe. Not this version, a later version, but it's no question about it. It's done with words, because in the beginning there was the word, and now we have this whole multiverse, and I believe it was all done with generative UI. And generative UI is just coming into the hands of human beings, so I can't wait to see what we do with it.
Love it. Yeah, Johnny. All right, on the technical side, so some really cool things they can do with this. So rapidly scaffold boilerplate React and Vue.js components to accelerate your development sprint cycles, right? So you don't have to actually build those things and prototype them manually. You actually just ask AI to do it for you. So you can also do reverse engineer CSS animations by asking AI to build it visually, then extract the underlying code. So CSS transitions itself are really cool, but they're really annoying to actually get right. You can also test edge cases for responsive design by having the AI instantly generate mobile, tablet, and desktop views at the same time. All right, we're actually at our Q&A segment of the actual show. Does anybody on the live stream have any questions? Go ahead and ask your questions now. There actually is going to be a little bit delay, so we're not ignoring you. We're going to go to the Zoom chat first to actually see if anybody have any questions. So Zoom chat, I know you guys are actually super interested in what we're actually showing today. You can either unmute yourselves, raise your hand, or ask your question in the actual chat. All right. Yeah, Johnny, do we have any questions in the live stream?
We've got fun questions. People can't believe it like I can't. Crypto Mom wants to know if it's actually writing real code or if it's just drawing a picture of the website. That's how unbelievable this is. They don't believe it's code.
Yeah. So this is the most impressive part, Crypto Mom. So if you actually think about it, all of this itself is actually real. So if I actually go down to, let's say, for example, the launching spring 2026, and I say, no, it's not 2026. Let's say, for example, I actually delaying it to 2027, and it's gonna be winter, right? So winter. So all I do is just actually go back to the preview and see it's updated real time. It's now winter 2027. If I say, for example, I don't like the word vibrance in flight, let's pretend that that is not nice. Let's say, for example, pretty um red, right? Pretty red in flight. I don't know what that means, but I say we just change it pretty red, right? So we have the ability to change things, and the code is actually ours, and we get to use it however we want. So it's actually real code. Thanks for asking that question. Does any other questions in the queue, Johnny?
Yeah, Tech Bro wants to know, how do I export this generative UI into my existing React project?
Yeah. So for anybody,
project.
say that again, Johnny.
Begging the question, what is it? What is a React project?
Yeah. So if you're on the technical side, there are lots of these development libraries and frameworks that actually are quite popular. So React is made by Facebook, is one of the most famous coding libraries now for websites. And if, say, for example, you have an existing coding base, the question is really asking, I have my code base over here, I have Canvas over here. How do I make both of them work together? So if you guys want to look at an older episode, we actually did a episode on anti-gravity. We did an episode on coding agents. That can actually link to your existing code. You can say, hey, I want you to actually make these changes, and it will make changes to your existing code. So go, if you're a pro member, go ahead and check out that episode. I think it was Gemini Hidden Tools. I think maybe episode 2. Again, if you actually sign up, send me a message, and I will actually point you to that episode. All right, yeah, Johnny. Anything else?
Ben Thinker wants to know if front-end developers will they even exist in 5 years? But according to the last question, where the people are using Tailwind CSS and React components, they're coding the old-fashioned way. They're just cheating. They don't want to write the code, so they're heading over to Gemini, telling it to write the code, cutting and pasting the code as if they had written it and putting it into their thing. But I think what our guy is asking, I think what Zen Thinker is asking is are they just wasting their time by trying to do things the old-fashioned way and merging it with the new way? Or are coders just going to go away?
Yeah. So I think we're definitely going to shift the roles from writing code. It's just like back in the early days of the computer, people actually don't write in assembly language anymore. They write in a high level language like Java or C Sharp or TypeScript or JavaScript. So what happened is we keep shifting writing ones and zeros to assembly language. We no longer write assembly language, we write a little bit higher language. And then as we get higher and higher, we're actually using natural language to code. The concepts of computer science, the concept of accounting, the concept of being a lawyer, the concept of being a doctor, all these things itself are super important to be able to ask or say the right questions. So I don't think the manual typing of syntax of less than h1 tags, close that h1 tag, I don't think that exists anymore in 5 years. But I do think the concepts of knowing the engineering behind it is going to be the most important thing. So that makes you a really good prompt engineer. Great question on that. Yeah, Johnny, I know we might have more questions, but we're at time, so let's switch over to the news.
Okay, well, there are some massive shifts happening this week. OpenAI and DeepMind multimodal rollouts. Both companies launched next-generation models capable of instant reasoning across text, images, and video. However, early testing in the agentic AI space has revealed a surprising hurdle, which we also have here at Airhead. Multi-agent teams are currently struggle to properly defer to one another's expertise, sometimes causing them to underperform compared to a single well-prompted autonomous agent.
Yeah, so I want to just talk about this a little bit. So what they're finding is that having multiple agents actually work on the same thing is the same problem we actually have as humans, where we actually need to synchronize, right? So if you have one person working on something, you never have to worry about stepping on each other's toes. But if, for example, you have two people working on something, you usually have to have communication that says, I'm working on this piece, you're working on that piece, and the coordination, we work it out. Sometimes we do step on each other's toes. What they're finding is that people are saying, hey, you know what? These agents are so cheap. Let's go ahead and spin up 10, 15, 20 of them to do everything. The problem now becomes that conversation and syncing up, and they're realizing that these multiple agent conversations working on the same problem is actually it's not very productive. So they're focusing on having one agent focusing on multiple pieces of the same thing. So just that's actually a rather interesting feedback that's coming out. What's next, AI Johnny?
John LeCun's world models, you'll like this. Meta's former chief AI scientist recently raised a massive $1.03 billion seed round for a startup, AMI Labs. Instead of scaling traditional large language models, LLMs, the company is building world models designed to learn how the physical world operates, targeting major leaps in robotics and manufacturing. So I guess AI has gone to something new now. It had a nice little time in the front line.
Yeah, so I think the problem is scale, and we're hitting that point where you can't actually scale the large language models because we just don't have enough energy. But what I do like about the world models is that if we actually solve how the real world works, I think being able to have learning and having opposable thumbs with robotics, I think those things, and once we solve the hand problem, I think everything else becomes natural, and I do think we hit AGI by 2029, 2030, thereabouts, of a 50% confidence level. What's next, AI Johnny?
Meta announced 4 new custom AI chips, including the MTIA 400, directly challenging NVIDIA's dominance to power high-end generative workloads across their platforms. Sounds like a good fight. I'll have to talk to Trevor about who's going to win that one.
Yeah. All right, yeah, Johnny, I love it.
Stuff, man. Personally, I'm going to use Canvas right after this show to rebuild my daughter's Lemonade website because she's still using a template from back in 2008, like that was a century ago. Tomorrow is Thursday, which means we pivot our hidden AI app showcase. We're looking at the cinematic B-roll, Google VO upgrade. We'll be exploring VO's brand new interface, updated aspect ratios, and natively generated audio. You don't want to miss that. The Impossible Shot demo is coming. Junior, take us out, brother.
All right, before we go, a quick reminder, these classes live are completely free. You can ask questions right here on Zoom or on the live stream. And if you want to actually, since today is Wednesday, don't forget we have Airhead after school at 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern time, between 3 and 5 Eastern time. And if you're an Airhead Pro member, you can actually come for Airhead office hours and also go back and watch the archives. And again, it's a free account if you actually want to sign up at airheadinstitute.ai. See you guys tomorrow or later if you're coming to after school or office hours. Thank you, Shauna. Love it. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.
That wraps up today's AI Power Up. If you joined late or you're new here, welcome to Airhead Institute. This is your daily destination for mastering artificial intelligence. We designed this lineup for everyone, whether you're a technical pro looking to upskill or you just want to chill and learn something new on your lunch break, we've got you covered. Our classes evolve every single month, so you're always on the cutting edge. And the best part? It's totally free to join. Once you're in, you can get live tips on your AI projects in our AI office hours and even enroll your kids in our Airhead after school program. Scan the QR code to join the community right now and make sure to like and subscribe at Airhead Institute on all socials. Guided by your hosts AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're here to help you win. Remember, AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind. We'll see you next class. Bring a friend.